Hey guys, it's Steven Slate, and in this video I'm going to give you 5 reasons why every recording engineer, mixer, and producer needs a Raven. Let's go. Number 1 is plugin control. There's no faster way to tweak plugins than to tweak the actual plugins on the screen. Let me show you. So here's my EQ. I'll boost some top end, some upper mids, I'll widen the bandwidth, I'll cut some lower mids, add some lows, put the bell on, add some compression. It's fast, it's intuitive, it's direct. Every knob is a 1-to-1 ratio, just like when you're tweaking hardware. It even works with stock plugins and third-party plugins. Here's our Logic stock compressor. I'll increase the ratio, speed up the tack, speed up the release, increase the makeup gain. Once you experience the instant speed of tweaking plugins on the Raven, you'll never want to go back to a mouse, and you'll certainly never want to use one of those generic controller knobs on a hardware control surface. Number 2 is gestures. Using classic multi-touch gestures, you can streamline your DAW workflow by tenfold. Let me show you. So now we're in Pro Tools because the Raven supports all major DAWs. With a 3-finger tap, I can open my last plugin and immediately start tweaking. Another 3-finger tap closes the plugin. Then I can select a bunch of channels, and with a 2-finger tap, I can bypass all the plugins on those channels. Another 2-finger tap, and they're back on. Now we're in Cubase, and I want to automate this lead vocal. A swipe from the right of the screen opens up my automation lane. 4-finger swipe up selects my pencil tool, and now I can draw in the automation with my finger. If I want to copy the automation to other portions of the vocal, a swipe to the right selects my range tool. I'll select the automation, a 3-finger splay will copy it, and then I can paste and paste. Number 3 is batch commands. I want you to think of batch commands like your own personal digital assistants. Batch commands execute up to 1,000 key commands, menu selections, and mouse clicks with only one button. Let me show you in action. Now we're back in Pro Tools, and I want to add my favorite plugin and effects chains to these vocal tracks. All I do is select them and hit the vocal plugin batch command. This batch command automatically places my favorite plugins and effects chains on these tracks, which is going to save me tons of time. One of my favorite batch commands is called custom fader groups. One of the biggest problems in any mix is just finding the tracks you want to mix. You're constantly banking and scrolling. Well, custom fader groups fix that. Let me show you. Let's say I want to mix my vocal tracks. I hit the launch vocal fader group, and now instantly, right in front of me are just my vocal faders ready for tweaking. Now let's say I want to start tweaking my drums. I hit launch fader group drums, and now my drums are right in front of me. No banking, no scrolling. Now I'll hit my launch guitar fader group, and now there are my guitars ready to tweak, and then launch fader group all sends me back to my full mix. Now let me show you how batch commands can help you comp a vocal in Ableton. Okay, let's use some batch commands to comp the perfect vocal take. So I have all of my vocal takes on the screen. I'm going to select all the secondary takes. I'm going to hit the deactivate clip batch command button. I'll select my first phrase, and then I'll hit the audition take below. That's going to scroll to the next track, activate it, and audition it. I can hit it again to go to the next take, and the next. And if I like this one, I hit the batch command called move to main, and that sends it right up to our main track, and I can go to our second phrase. Number 4 is multi-touch mixing with your hands. There's no better way to mix than with faders, and the Raven gives you 24 multi-touch faders. Now 24 is very important because many control surfaces give you a measly 8 faders. Let me tell you something, if you're only mixing with 8 faders, you're going to be banking more than you are mixing. The Raven faders are ultra sleek, ultra fast, ultra precise, and there's up to 10 touch points at once. And once you start mixing with Raven faders, you're never going to want to go to a single click mouse. Now some people ask us if there's a major difference between a hardware tactile fader and a virtual software fader. And the answer is surprisingly no. The movement is exactly the same. You just raise a fader to get more level, and you lower the fader to get less level. It's so simple. However, there's a very significant advantage to a virtual fader. Now, a lot of times when you're using faders, you're doing automation moves that are small 1 dB, 2 dB increments. With a normal fader, this can be very difficult, and that's why you have to do a lot of passes. Now, the Raven, I have a mode called Fine Fader Mode. When I enter Fine Fader Mode, I can move my finger up to 7 to 8 inches, and it can confine the fader to these very small moves, so you can get these automation passes done correctly the first time. And another advantage to virtual faders is that you have a color-coded mixer. I can always look here and I'll know that my red tracks are my guitars, my green are my acoustics. It makes it so much easier to navigate the mix. Number 5 is the Slate Remote. The Slate Remote allows you to control your session from anywhere in the studio. Let me show you what it can do. Here we are in Ableton. First, I'll just play the transport, and I'll stop it. Now I can loop the chorus. I can loop the verse. Or, if you're an engineer who records themselves, you can hit the top and rec button, which takes you to the top of the project and starts recording. And if you mess up, just hit the undo and rec button, which automatically starts another take. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching how the Raven will revolutionize your studio workflow. So call your Slate dealer and grab one, because you will not regret it. Happy mixing.